Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast, bringing you the latest in sports news, fantasy analysis, and opinions. Don't forget the hot takes. Can't have a sports show without hot takes these days. What about hot cakes, though? I want some hot cakes. Now here's your host, ready to jump into the thick of things, Dwayne Callender.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Basically, we've got baseball in full-on panic mode. Super Bowl's over. We got the lull because of the NBA season still dragging on. I got to talk some hockey as well eventually. My Rangers somehow making a random push for the playoffs, even though realistically they have less than a 3% chance of making the playoffs because the Eastern Conference is so good. But gotta talk baseball here because we have the beginning of my series of Baseball is Burning, because the Houston Astros and the sign stealing scandal won't go away. Because at the end of the day, the Houston Astros put together a press conference that is the worst public relations press conference since Michael Vick started trying to cover up his dogfighting scandal. And that came back to mind because of what was going on with the Vick 30 for 30 on ESPN. But man, like the Astros literally saying, we're sorry, but we didn't impact the game press conference might be one of the dumbest press conferences ever. And the PR people in charge of the Astros are filing the resumes because there's no coming back from that. None. Like, you're done. You're absolutely done in terms of credibility in the industry. You're done. You're filing paperwork elsewhere. There's no coming back from that. And it's only going to get worse with baseball players just talking about the Astros. So conversation with my pops about it. I got to talk some more about it coming up because there are going to be more people sounding off about the Houston Astros now more than ever. And I can't wait. This is just popcorn entertainment television. I cannot wait at all. Callie, so here's where we are at this point with the Astros scandal, because you brought up the point about Mike Bolsinger's lawsuit against the Astros, and the reason why it's a big deal is that technically in any court case, you have to show cause and effect to show damages. And because Bolsinger never played in the major leagues after that appearance against the Astros, yeah, you could argue that he was a bad pitcher anyway and that, he was going to get cut regardless. Of course, you can make that argument. But the problem is that because he got shelled so badly by the Astros, and you could probably demonstrate a case where the Astros were using sign stealing to tip off of when the pitches were coming, you can do a cause and effect of, hey, maybe I wouldn't have gotten shelled as badly, and because I got shelled as badly, the minor league team cut me, and no one else was even bothered interested to even try to look at me further, that I had to go out to Japan and pitch and try to continue my major league dream, but my major league dreams effectively ended in Houston that day. That's it. That is showing damages of how you were directly impacted, and that's why the Astros actually have to be worried. Because it's one thing for Major League Baseball to try to close the book because Manfred is trying to distance the game from the Astros, and by trying to turn the page and just say, we're moving on to the investigation involving the Boston Red Sox. But the problem is that lawsuit is going to start dragging more people in terms of witnesses unless they can just settle. And that, to be honest, the Astros are better off settling that case than having any depositions going forward, because if that press conference yesterday wasn't indicative enough of that they are absolutely miserable, guilty, And not only are they guilty, they have some of the worst PR people imaginable, because I can't imagine a PR person literally going through prepping an owner saying, no, we didn't think it would impact the game. And then less than a minute later saying, oh, I don't recall saying, I don't think it had an impact on the game. You literally just said it. Like, what prep work did you do for this apology tour? Like, it is so mind-boggling dumb that it's like, I can't tell if Jim Crane was so defensive because he was getting questions, or the fact that, and this is my personal opinion, he doesn't give a damn. He knew everything that was going on, but hey, he knew that Rob Manfred is someone who works for him, just like one of his employees. The commissioner of baseball works at the behest of the owners. So unless there's a smoking gun email showing Jim Crane directing his AJ Hinch and Jeff Lundau to keep implementing this story, which, again, I firmly believe this was all strictly driven by the players. The players are doing this. Yeah, AJ Hinch, it seemed like he was the only one who had misgivings about what was going on, but because, baseball managers are so beholden to players these days that they don't want to rock the boat, that AJ Hinch was like, I don't like what's going on here, but I got to bite my tongue. So even when Aaron Boone's accusing you of cheating, he played up the lie. I mean, the biggest reason why AJ Hinch got fired and no one really feels sorry about AJ Hinch getting fired is because he was directly questioned about this during the playoffs, and he laughed it off as if it was some big conspiracy joke.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And like I said, they acting like they want to have their cake and eat it too. We're going to have this press conference, which is, I'm telling you, here's what you got to do. If you want to have reasons never to hold a press conference to apologize, just play out that Astros one, and then this is a bad idea. So it's right up there, because I don't understand.
Well, what was so utterly bizarre about that press conference? What was so
yesterday did. I'm not hearing you.
Well, what I was saying is, what was so bizarre about that press conference was they initially set it out to the media as if it was going to be a formal apology and explanation. What it ended up turning into was, well, this is, we're sorry it came to this, but realistically, we're not sorry. Don't call it a press conference saying you're going to apologize for what happened.
Hey, let me tell you something. I could have shortened that for them. All they had to do is put on a paper saying, shit happened. Because basically that's what they did yesterday. I mean, and Asuba is the guy I like, but he made this seem in a different light yesterday, because the Korea and act as though, well, that home run I hit against thing, I didn't know, or whatever happened, To me, you would have been better off just saying I'm going to skip the press conference. Because if they thought that yesterday put an end to this, well, I'm even more convinced now that they were doing shit.
Oh, but see, here's the problem. Here's the problem. The bottom line is the Astros just put even bigger bullseyes on their backs, because there's nothing to stop another team now, and there are multiple teams that are going to be bottom feeders in baseball next season. There's nothing stopping them from throwing at the Astros players now. There's really nothing stopping them, because Oakland is absolutely going to be throwing at the Astros this year. That goes without saying. But there are going to be some teams that you wouldn't expect in baseball that be feuding with the Astros. That there are going to be some teams saying, hey, these guys may be cheating on us right now. If they hit some homers on us, we're definitely going to be throwing at them. It's like the Astros have put themselves in a spot now where they actually are endangering themselves and their careers because guys are going to take shots at them, and it's going to turn into beanball wars. And the commissioner's office can say whatever they want because of the fact that they didn't punish the players. Now the players association is actually going to have to take the law into their own hands, and that usually ends up going very, very badly.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to have a record amount of fights this year. Because I'm not seeing where they're gonna teams are gonna let them get away with that, because it's gonna be, they're gonna get thrown at because nobody believes them. Okay, nobody believes them. Yeah, that they didn't, and I'm telling you, and I'm not saying that Altuve is not a good hitter, but there is no way he could ever convince me that he didn't know that pitch was coming. Because the next morning, people talking about, well, it was a slider, and I guess he guessed the slider, and maybe he should have thrown the slider there, whatever. But you could see, like, Chapman, that when he hit it, Chapman was like, damn, he caught up with that,
Oh, yeah, the look on Chapman's face was just a look of shock. Yeah, the look on Chapman's face was a look of shock. And my thing was, I didn't agree with Chapman throwing the slider there because you did end up speeding up his bat with the multiple fastballs and hanging, and it wasn't. I don't think it was a great slider, but the problem is that if you already knew the slider was coming, you just sat on it. Like part of what makes some baseball players great is the fact that they have great instincts. But if you're being told what the fuck the pitch coming is, like, what are we talking about here? It's like, what are we talking about? It makes it makes a joke of the process, and that's the biggest thing that people are going to remember from this. The problem is that 20 years from now, it's going to get talked about, but I'm not sure where the conversation is going to go, because if you didn't vacate the title, you can't give it to the Dodgers. But if you don't vacate the title, you're or at least put an asterisk on the two World Series years between the Astros and the Red Sox, you've blown an opportunity, because those 2 years have to be just the way you bring up the fact that the White Sox throwing a World Series, like, you have to bring this up every single time the conversation comes up now.
Look, here's the problem I have with Manfred and them. Okay? And like I said, I don't want to hear nothing about giving the title to the Dodgers. No. You don't have to give. See, I think Manfred is hiding behind that. I thought LA made a bad move when they started talking about they should get the title. No. Okay? You didn't win it on the field. No, because the problem is, you can easily make the argument that the Yankees could have won those World Series either. Like, the issue is the fact that you had two teams that directly benefited. You don't know how the postseasons would have played out regardless. So you gotta go with the college. Yeah, you gotta go with the college model of just vacating the title. You vacate the title. Yeah, and you've got the asterisk there, so that people would. That's how you put a kind of a deterrent there, because it's there. I don't care what you do. The title was vacated because you cheated. You understand? So when anybody asks, well, how come nobody? Well, the Santa won it, but they caught them cheating, and blah 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 blah.
Now,
it never goes away.
But my question is that if you're going to follow the same precedent with the Red Sox, unless you're waiting to see if the Red Sox did even worse stuff, like now you can't even do the same, vacate the title for the Red. Like the problem is he set the precedent. Unless you're retroactively just going to go back and say, oh, you know what? After all, we're going to vacate the title for both these teams, and honestly, it may end up coming to that because it seems that enough owners are still ticked off with how this was handled that if enough teams get into beanball wars with the Astros, they may end up having to revisit the punishment. Because the problem is that they are escalating things to an extent where I see this dragging over the entire baseball season, and it's not good for baseball. I think baseball just needed to vacate the titles because now you've made it a talking point the entire year of other teams going after, and I think it's inevitable that teams are going after the Red Sox and the Astros.
Well, yes, here's the problem I have with it. And you know what? Maybe we need to rethink this thing when stuff like this happens, having the commissioners do these investigations. Because the same nonsense is what Goodell did with the Patriots, where he alone watched the tapes and then he destroyed them. But you never really, yes, you took away some picks and you did it, but you never let the proof be shown so people know, yes, we caught you doing so and so and so. So whenever you talk about that, you know, we can show it to you. You know, because the Patriots did act as though they never did anything. You understand? Oh, well, people said we did it, but, you know, because they know the tapes are destroyed. It's the same thing with Manfred. Yeah, I slapped you on your wrist, but you still keep the... Look, you know what you keep? You keep the money that you got. But you see the title? The prestige of the title?
Well,
I'm going to hit you with that so everybody will know forevermore that you did this.
Well, this is the thing about the lawsuit. The problem with the lawsuit is asking for the Astro because there were some monetary damages being assessed, but the biggest thing from the lawsuit was telling that the Astros should have to forfeit the postseason win shares of all the players like that they got, the bonuses. That monetary, like that actually sells in the jury. Now, the issue becomes, where is the jury pool going to be held for that case? And again, this is why settling that case is probably in their best interest, because the more you go into having to do depositions and the more these players start trying to talk about it, the more you realize how culpable they are and they've got no legitimate answers. It will get worse. And the problem is that because I never got to go through the full brunt of the punishments and what should have been the punishments, because as much as people say, oh, well, you know, he hurt the Astros. No. He inconvenienced the Astros. Like the level of the degree of cheating that this arose to, he needed to cripple the Astros. Like, legitimately, you actually have to cripple the franchise for the next 5 to 7 years, even if it comes at the cost of them leaving Houston and going to a different market. You actually have to send that message to the rest of baseball, because again, if you're allowing cheating of that nature to result in titles, there are going to be, sooner or later, there's going to be an owner saying, you know what? I am going to push the envelope, and I'm going to, and, you know, whatever happens, but it doesn't look like I'm going to lose a title over it, so might as well push the envelope.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking, if those lawyers that's going to be representing the Astros know anything. If they watched that press conference yesterday, this morning I'm thinking they're calling the Astros and saying, guys, let's settle this shit and don't go anywhere near a deposition or courthouse. I'm telling you, if they would anything, they will never let any of those guys have to sit down with that guy's lawyers. There's no way they're going to want that. Not after watching that press conference. Because I thought they were guilty before yesterday. I'm totally convinced that they should have stripped them of everything after that press conference, because not only I more believe that they did it, I don't believe they give a shit after that press conference.
They did, but they never did. They never did. Like, that was my whole contention. They never did, because the entire culture of the Astros is to push the envelope. We don't care about what other teams are going to do. We're going to do what we want to do, because they run it all in-house. They don't have scouts. They fired almost all the traditional baseball scouts. They go off of analytics, but now we know that they were using analytics and, in addition, using video technology to steal signs to a degree that has never been seen before. And they were getting a lot of their input from Carlos Beltran, who then was turning it on to Alex Cora. But it was Beltran who started all of this to begin with.
I'm telling you, among blunders, that had to be the biggest blunder, was having that press conference yesterday. And this is why, you know, sometimes you never let time pass. If they had come out the same day that thing happened and said, you know, we're sorry, blah, 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 people will still be pissed off, but at least, you know, but when that story came out, they stuck their nose in the air like they didn't do anything. And, you know, because I heard Altuve with the same thing yesterday with and Bregman, that the commissioner investigated the buzzer, and we never used the buzzer, and they never found anything, you know. And I'm thinking that, you know, like oh my God, I forgot the guy who was doing the interview, and he said he heard about the sign stealing thing in 2017, but he never had enough proof to come out until this year when they got everything. So the buzzer thing, as we heard it now, we say, hey, maybe 2 years from now, the proof might come out for that too. So, you know.
Well, here's the thing. All those players are not going to be with the Astros forever. Sooner or later, somebody's going to leave the Astros, and they're going to have to answer for it. And guess what? If they feel slighted or disgruntled, or better yet, one of them wants to release a book, this is all going to come out. Like, this is why this is potentially damaging to Rob Manfred's long-term viability as the commissioner of baseball, because I think there's another shoe to drop from all of this, and he's going to be left holding the bag as to why wasn't more done with the Astros to begin with, because in trying to wrap this up for expediency, they left so many holes unanswered that now people are looking to fill in the gaps. And if you give a reporter enough opportunities to find, like, if they know the story's there, they're going to find a way of getting at the story from other people. Like, because it's not just the players. Now you got to worry about the equipment people, the interns in the building. If somebody leaves the baseball operations, there are people with knowledge in that building that won't always be there forever. The Astros, you know, I don't want to say I really don't want to say this because of how cheesy it is. Like, Houston, we have a problem, but they really do have a problem, because there are so many people that have more knowledge of this that won't say anything right now because, again, they're still employed. Unless you have every employee that leaves the company from here moving forward sign an NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, about talking about your tenure with the Astros, I don't know how nothing else is going to slip from this within the next 18 months to 2 years. Because there are more than enough people that have detailed knowledge of what's going on that haven't started talking yet, but that day is coming.
Oh yeah, I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that they're gonna wind up with people talk writing books and stuff after. That's why I said Manfred and them should have gotten in front of this by vacating the titles. I think you don't have to give it to anybody, but you vacate the title and leave the blank space there with the asterisk, and then people in Astros fans will always say, "Oh, they treated us bad because blah 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 blah," and other people will let everybody else draw their conclusions. Because to me, it's enough to vacate the title because you know they cheated. It's not like you don't know they were doing it. You know they did it. So if they did it in the playoffs, you gotta vacate the title.
And the problem is that press conference, Rob Manfred's going to have to answer that press conference because the baseball season hasn't even started yet, and Rob Manfred has to start doing the media tour. The Astros basically made Rob Manfred's job, I don't want to say 10 times worse because that's understating it. I'd say it's probably closer to 100 times worse than it did yesterday before that press conference. Because now he's going to have to re-answer every single question and then have to follow up with, really? That's why you can't vacate the titles? Clearly, there's no contrition at all on their part, and it directly impacted games. So why, again, are we not having this discussion about vacating the titles? This is going to get revisited, and he may end up having to vacate the titles anyway just to put this story to bed and at least move on with the baseball season. Because guess what? If baseball ratings start down again this year, and there are a number of factors why baseball ratings are down, look, baseball's going to have to start doing something more serious to at least get it. Because I could see a number of fans, and there are fans who already said that, after this nonsense, why should I even bother? I got my team not even being as talented as some of these other clubs. And you've got teams blatantly cheating and getting away with it and being rewarded with titles. Why should I even bother following the baseball season? It's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play with fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one is the Myles Garrett thing.
Oh, Myles Garrett. Oh, well, you see, this is, I don't have the time to go into this one in full detail, but this is just one of those cases where Roger Goodell, being Roger Goodell, and how little Roger Goodell actually cares about player enforcement policies, because you literally just had someone assault another player on the field of play on national TV, and all you care about is, okay, he's been out of the national spotlight enough now. We can bring him back, and there won't be too much fear about him being suspended for longer. And let's just slip him in through the back door before the combine and everything else so that people forget what's going on. That's what it came down to.
Here's the problem I have with Myles Garrett. Okay? Here's the problem I have. You're saying that he used the N-word. Okay? They used the N-word. Here's what I never could understand. Okay? These guys use the N-word with one another so often that I don't understand. Like, it has some little thing inside it that if a white person do it, you could go crazy. But other than that, it's okay. It's cool to see that. But if you just flip that switch, that is so much bullshit. You hear? That is so much bullshit. I always view that as an excuse because I never understand how you could tell me that it's because a white person tell it to you, it gets really, really bad. But if we tell it to one another, it's cool.
Yeah, no, and it's
you may not like you may not like a white person saying it, okay? But you can't tell me it gets you that mad that you could come back tomorrow and you did as casual as ever. You got to be kidding me.
But here's the thing, and this is why I always criticize Roger Goodell because he plays favorites and he doesn't actually stick to any set standard of commissioner behavior. Like in the new CBA, Roger Goodell needs to be stripped of the powers of doing player discipline because he's terrible at it. And he's horribly inconsistent. It needs to be handled by a third party. No questions asked. Like that's I mean, if I'm the Players Association, if they can't get that done, then they're absolutely useless as an organization. Because here's the thing. Myles Garrett, there's no evidence corroborating what Myles Garrett is saying is true. So you basically just had Myles Garrett throw Mason Rudolph under the bus, claiming that he used the N-word. Now Mason Rudolph, the rest of his life, has to deal with questions of people asking him, did you use the N-word? And you have no proof. You didn't strongly deny that it was N-word, and you reinstated the guy anyway. If anything, it should have been the suspension is a year to the date, and another 6, and the rest of this upcoming season for lying about a statement. That would have actually been something relevant to make sure that we don't have incidents like that in the future, because it's hard enough trying to enforce decorum and race relations in this country when you have situations like nonsense, like what you had there, or a Juicy Smollett situation where you fabricate a hate crime and you waste everyone's time with an investigation into something that never actually happened. Like, these are real things that that delegitimize a very real problem in this country. So, again, by sweeping it under the rug and condoning it, Roger Goodell basically kind of gave an out clause for any time someone does something stupid by claiming it's racially based. And it's like the fact that there's no recognition that how dumb of an idea that was to reinstate him after just 6 games when A, he committed assault, and B, he lied about it on a stand under oath. Like, I don't understand the thought process that goes into Roger Goodell's mind, except for the fact that Myles Garrett is an overall number 1 pick, and his owner, again, the owner, Jimmy Haslam, is Roger Goodell's boss and was complaining, why can't I get my player back? He's my number 1 pick. And that's it. That's why he got reinstated.
I'm telling you, it's because, like I say, I don't understand how that can be an excuse for you almost giving somebody brain damage by swinging that heavy helmet and hitting them with it. It's because, like I say, this is something you guys use all the time. So how can it get you so mad that you almost kill somebody because they say it? Just because he's a white guy. I don't buy that argument. That, when somebody white says it hurts so much. Fucking if it's hurt so much, stop using it. You know, because.
But again,
problem that always pisses me off with Americans is that they act as they're the only ones that went through slavery. It always pisses me off. Because a guy once told me one time that I don't understand it because, you know, I'm like, what the fuck do you think we got to the West Indies? We just sailed down there on a yacht afterwards? Because the only difference is the guy with the sugar plantation offered more than the guy with a cotton plantation. They act as though, and like I told him, I said, you guys even a little better off. I said, after slavery, we had colonialism. I said, you think it was easy living under the Queen? You know? So, it's just that I don't understand it. You go around calling people the N-word all the time. All the time. Every day, 5, 10 times a day. And it's no big deal. One time. And it makes you so enraged. Full of shit. It's full of shit. You know? I always say, it can't be a good word one way and a bad word the next way. Nonsense. You know? And like I said, he just used that and use my thing as a scapegoat. You know? So,
yeah. But anyway, Kelly, I'll let you go, but we'll catch up a bit later.
Yeah. We'll talk more later. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Okay. All right.
All right. That's going to do it for the show today, folks. Have a good one, and more to come on the Astros because this story is not going away, and I am going to enjoy it. Should be delightful to enjoy the back and forth throughout the season. Take care.